When it comes to planning your time so that you can do the things that make you money in order to do less in this Make Time for Business course, it's really important to understand something about time. And that is that we have been taught that there's one kind of time, which is linear time that just marches on, and we're always running out of it. That's kind of the cultural gestalt view of it. But it's really important that you know that there's a second kind of time also. And this kind of time is called kairos. The ancient Greeks called it this, versus chronos. So chronos is the linear time that says, that we're going to meet for lunch at 12 p.m. and it keeps the world running. But kairos is this other kind of time, and it's timeless time. And kairos is the idea and the feeling where time just sort of stands still, and it could have been 5 minutes or 5 hours, and you're just totally present. So the way I like to describe it is the difference between the 5 minutes you waited in line for coffee this morning and the 5 minutes you spent holding your child or your niece or nephew for the first time. 5 minutes felt totally different in those two scenarios. Now, when we want to get into the concept of using our time in the most effective way and investing our time so that we can have that time pay dividends, we want to get into kairos as much as possible. This full presence, suspended, timeless time. So how the heck do we do that? Well, what's really cool is biologically and cosmically, there's something amazing going on. And what it is that as women or people who identify with feminine energy, which could be male or female or somewhere on the spectrum in between, there is actually this cyclical experience of time. And here's how it works. Hormonally speaking, women cycle every 28 days, or people with periods. Men cycle every 24 hours, hormonally speaking. And this actually creates a very different experience of life, an experience of energy, an experience of time. Now, it's not news to you that we live in a world that is organized according to a 24-hour cycle. This is not surprising given the fact that we live in a patriarchy. However, the opportunity here is to infuse this whole other experience of time into our businesses, into our lives, so we can get more into kairos, suspended, timeless time, where we can expand or contract time at our will and where we get way more done with way less energy expended. And so the whole idea is that there is a cycle for everything. So you have a handout with this video that you can download that will show you also what I am talking about here. And I discovered this after my period came back, after my first daughter, and I, for the first time, became fascinated by what was going on with my body every single month. And so what I learned is that there are 4 phases of the menstrual cycle that affect our energy as people with periods throughout the month. But these 4 phases of the menstrual cycle, just like you can see on this graphic, align perfectly with the same 4 phases of the lunar cycle and also align with the energy of the 4 seasons here on planet Earth. This is not a mistake. This is divine design. It's so cool. And so what's also so fascinating about these 4 phases is that they are exactly representative of the ingredients required for any project or creation to come to fruition. The reason this is important is because we have been taught that the way to get things done and reach our goals is to push harder and fit more into our days and do the same thing every single day, ideally increasing in speed and increasing in the amount we do. And so we've been brainwashed essentially to believe that the factor to success, the path to success, is addition, is adding more things in. But actually, for most of us, the path to what we truly want is subtraction. And the way we do that is by tuning into the cyclical energy of our days, of our months, and of our years, and also of our lives and our projects, so that we can lock ourselves into the ebb and flow that creates a momentum where we don't have to put in nearly as much energy, but we get a greater result. Because when something is cyclical, you get into a flow as opposed to linear, there's a lot of friction. And so with the cycle, there are these 4 phases. And it doesn't mean that they're going to align perfectly, meaning that like you would start your period on the new moon. Some women do, that's fine. Some people with periods do, that's totally fine. That's not the goal here. What I'm talking about is really a metaphorical, energetic cycle to begin to pay attention to. And I really want you to know that even 5% of paying attention to this will revolutionize your life. And here's why. You will stop beating yourself up for not having the same exact identical experience every 24 hours like the world has taught us we should have. But at least 50% of the population is not having that lived experience. And yet no time management system or planner or goal setting system or anything has been created for that until now. So there are these 4 phases and they line up like the graphic that you have, the handout. And it is the menstrual phase of your cycle when you're bleeding, the new moon, and the winter time. They all have this same energetic quality of rest and restoration. So this is the phase that is most often skipped in people's month, certainly, like we're taught, just medicate everything away so you don't actually need to rest, because the ideal is to push harder and go more. But actually, the deeper we can surrender into rest, the better our creativity becomes, the better our ideas become, and the more mental clarity and access to our truest selves and to our most powerful selves we have. So the wintertime phase of our months and of our lives is actually incredibly productive. Even though we don't have visible results, we have deep invisible results that pay off in the rest of the cycle. The next phase after that new moon, menstrual, winter energy is the follicular phase. So the follicular phase of your period is the time right after you are bleeding. So it's about the week after, 5 to 6 days after you have your period. It's the same energy as springtime, and it's the same energy as the waxing moon. So this is the time when we are really feeling this energy of new beginnings and initiation. There is a uptick in energy, and this is a really great time to start things, to brainstorm, and to plan. The next phase after that is the summertime energy of full bloom, full moon, ovulation. It's really like the full peak of your energy during the month if you're cycling, but also of a project. It's the moment when it's out there, when you hit the stage or the workshop is live or you press publish on your website. And this is the time when you're the most open to cross-pollination. Literally, hormonally, you actually will be the most attractive. It has to do with your pheromones during this time, and you will be the most fertile. But it's also energetically during a project, you're the most fertile during this time. And then the next phase is the luteal phase and autumn and the waning moon. So this phase is when we begin again to turn inwards, and it is the energy of completion and focus and completion. So it's bringing things to a close. And it is a great time for details. It's a great time for wrapping things up, for analysis, and energetically during the month, if you are having a cycle, it's the time when you're going to begin to start to feel a little more inward. It's an incredibly valuable time because you have the mental focus to get things done. Now, our culture wants to skip the autumn energy and the wintertime energy because it's a little slower and it's more inward. And what's celebrated more in our culture is that outward, going for it, high energy time. But the more we can embrace the phases of the cycle that are more inward, the luteal, autumn, waning moon, the new moon, menstrual, winter time energy, the more productive we become and the less energy we need to expend. So there is a cycle for everything. Your action step is to grab the handout that comes with this video and begin to familiarize yourself with the cycle so you can identify on any given day where on this spectrum you fall. You will always be somewhere hormonally, energetically, or in your projects. And this allows you to give yourself grace and space and own where you are so you can get the benefits of the gifts of that phase. See you in the next lesson.